How are perfumes made? A lot of people have no idea what goes behind the process of making perfumes. The process is much more complicated than a lot of people expect. It all begins with selecting the right ingredients. These days, a lot of perfume ingredients are synthetic, they're made in labs, which isn't necessarily a bad thing because you can make a lot of different unique fragrance notes synthetically. But traditionally, perfumes for thousands of years have been made with natural ingredients, which are harder to get, more expensive, rarer, and that sort of thing. And natural ingredients, you're obviously not going to have certain notes, like you can't get a caramel note, naturally, there's no caramel plants out there. But there's about 2,000 plants that will produce oils that are aromatic enough to be used in fragrances. Some very popular ones are rose, mostly florals, or vetiver maybe. Animal notes as well, like civet or musk, those are also popular natural fragrances, even though they're derived from animals instead of plants. Ambergris is another one, derived from whales. So, the whole thing with natural fragrances, you have to extract them somehow. You can't just grab a handful of flowers and toss them in a bottle and call it a day. You mainly have to extract the oils from plants in particular. And to do that, there are several ways. Either they're extracted from the plants with solvents, or pressurization, or some other means. Solvents usually involves using very, very high-proof alcohol, kind of immersing the plant products in that alcohol. Then over time, the oils from the plants will be extracted due to that, very high-proof product. In general, you have to pick very specific types of plants to extract oils from, because some plants don't really produce enough oils, or hardly no oils at all. Like the lily of the valley is a flower that you can't really use for natural perfumery, so you have to make that synthetically. Besides the extraction process, which is really just kind of the beginning of the whole process, you then have to figure out how you want to blend the resulting oils. Once you get some rose oils, maybe some amber, some civet, whatever you have to figure out how you're going to put it together so it actually smells like something that someone would want to wear. And that's been the art and science of perfumery for hundreds or even thousands of years. Because obviously some notes just don't go together, and then some notes go together really well. So you have to that's the job of the master perfumer, to kind of pick and choose certain scents and blend them in a particular way. So particular that the resulting perfume has top notes, middle notes, and base notes. Rather than just being this crazy concoction of aromas, it actually has a sort of organization and order to it, especially as it kind of dries on the skin. The notes change and that sort of thing. So that's some very, very specific blending of oils and notes and things like that to be able to come up with specific fragrances like that. And usually perfumers have to go through dozens or hundreds or even thousands of variations until they find the perfect variant for their perfume. Especially since these designer perfume brands like Dior or Chanel, they want very, very specific smells to kind of emulate a feeling or an emotion or things like that. And this trial and error can be seen even in the names of a lot of fragrances. Chanel No. 5 was one choice out of several different test fragrances. And 1000 by Jean Patou supposedly is the 1000th variation of that fragrance that they were trying to make. And only after 1000 tries they managed to come up with the right fragrance that they were looking for. So it definitely takes a lot of work, but once the perfumer comes together and brings all the notes together, then it's time for an aging process. Very much like aging wine or any other alcoholic beverage. You kind of have to age perfume usually about a month and let those oils and the alcohol that it's mixed with sit and develop. And then the perfumer will test the perfume after that time determine how does the strength match up compared to a month ago. Is it stronger or is it weaker? Have some of these notes gone bad? How does it smell in comparison to before? And of course, if the product is no longer good, they'll have to start from scratch and figure out how to fix it. But if it is good, then they can continue to develop the fragrance. And after the aging process, if it's good, the perfume is pretty much home free. Now, taking a step back from that part, there's also the process of adding alcohol to the fragrance. All perfume has alcohol in it in varying degrees, and that's why different fragrances have eau de parfum, eau de toilette, eau de cologne, all these different terms to determine how much alcohol is in the product. In general, perfumes will have, in terms of perfume oil in contrast to alcohol content, they'll have between 2 and 30% perfume oil. Pretty much all the time there will be more alcohol than the perfume oil because you need alcohol not just as a filler, but to actually allow those aromatic notes to express themselves. Because if there's no alcohol, then the fragrance will actually be very flat and very hard for your brain to understand what it's even smelling because it's just too potent and too concentrated. But if you spread it out with alcohol, those notes have more room to express themselves and it's just more pleasant to smell. So after that's all figured out and after the aging process, then pretty much the perfume is ready to go. And the next step is packaging, marketing, and all that. A lot of big perfume brands have very, very specific ways of packaging and marketing their fragrances. For instance, Chanel No. 5 always comes in its very characteristic square bottle with the little cap on top. Or Shalimar has that kind of urn-shaped or tulip-shaped bottle. And every brand has a very distinct bottle because that's a marketing trick. As soon as you see a recognizable bottle, you'll know what it is. You don't even have to read any labels. So that makes it more distinguishable compared to other products. And then it's pretty much up to the perfume manufacturer to market their product to the public and put it on the shelves in department stores and online and all that. But pretty much from start to finish, that's what goes into making a perfume. There's also the kind of controversy of using some natural ingredients in perfumes, especially animal-derived fragrances, specifically musk and ambergris and civet. Real civet is rarely used anymore. It's derived from the musk glands of certain animals like deer or the civet cat. And then ambergris is made, usually whales have to be hunted down in an attempt to get ambergris, which is this very musky marine blob that occurs inside whales. Animal-derived natural fragrances, like I said, are rarely used anymore because they are harmful to the animals. Usually they have to be hunted down and killed in order to get those fragrances, so definitely not a lot of those anymore. You can definitely still find the natural animal fragrances in vintage perfumes, because that's just how things were back then. It's also rarer to find natural floral and otherwise vegetal notes in modern perfumes just because they're expensive. Some of them are hard to find. Those that are used in perfumes, usually those perfumes are more luxurious, they're more high quality, like oud perfumes or certain rose perfumes or rare flowers. Those are just going to create more expensive and luxurious perfumes. Most fragrances these days use synthetic ingredients, which pretty much still smell like the real things. There are some variations. Some people say that the tone isn't as rich or as lively, but for the most part, synthetic fragrances do a really good job of replacing natural fragrances, especially if you want to save money on fragrances or you just want to help the environment, because Using natural florals, for example, you have to, first of all, farm tens of thousands of certain flowers, hope that they don't die of disease, and then basically take all of them and smush them up and extract the oils from them. So synthetic fragrances are definitely better for the environment overall, and they smell good. And they can encompass a greater variety of notes, because natural notes can only go so far. You're not going to be able to get actual incense notes or actual, like I said, caramel or honey notes. You know, certain things that have to be synthetic. Other than that, that's what goes into the process of making fragrances. If you have any opinions about this process, leave your comments in the comment section below. If you liked the video, leave a like, maybe subscribe, and I make videos throughout the week, so stick around for those.